let's start with like the biggest cliche question. What's up with the Prodigy? What have you been up to the last few weeks?
Weeks. I've been snowboarding. I went to America snowboarding. That's about it really. I'm building a new studio. Almost forgot that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, been building a new studio in my house. And I'll have it up and running by about 2 weeks' time. Start writing again. Yeah, just had a little break really.
Mm-hmm. Talk about snowboarding. I think one of the nicest things you did was like in September last year, playing on the Red Square.
Yeah, that was good.
Can you tell us something about it?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. It was definitely like a standout gig of the year for me. You know, it was just like seeing all those people and just seeing kind of like every now and then like a line of police and then some more people in the line of police.
Yeah,
and
like
just,
military police and
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty mad, and just being like in Red Square with like all those mad buildings. It was just like really.
You know, Russia, I suppose, you know, I don't know, but as a kid and stuff, you always felt like, you know, if there was going to be another war, it was going to be with Russia, you know, and it was going to be this big nuclear war, and, you know, because you obviously don't follow any of the politics. It's just like one of them urban myths that they are the big enemy. I don't know. It's just
You're made afraid for them.
Yeah, you know, it's quite strange, really. But you know, suddenly you're there, and it's a very strange place. It's, you know, run by the mafia, you know, and you can't move in Russia without sort of paying someone some money, and you know, to sort of be there and do a show, you know, in Red Square, it was a free thing, you know, so everyone who was there didn't have to pay. It was totally free, and, you know, I don't know how many people were there. Some people say it was, you know, it was well over 150,000, maybe 200,000, you know, and that's a big old crowd to be in front of, you know, and to think that at one stage, you know, that's where, you know, all the communist leaders used to send their military power down there, you know, big missiles and tanks, and, you know, people marching through there to show their military might, and then you was there, you know, four English punks just up there, you know, entertaining a large percentage of, you know, Moscow's population. It was just, you know, a crazy feeling, you know.
It sounds a bit like zenned out, but you definitely come off stage thinking like you kind of you know, sort of really done something during the gig. Do you know what I mean? Not just played. You know, you kind of brought loads of people together that don't usually come together. You know, it definitely felt that way, didn't it? Do you know what I mean?
And it was definitely the first time those guys saw the Prodigy. And what I remember of Russia is that I was in St. Petersburg a few months ago, and on every wall, people wrote the Prodigy. So it's.
We've never been there before, St. Petersburg.
Yeah, but it's like that was something that was everywhere, every corner and shadow. So I thought, like, well, maybe the energy in the crowd was like even bigger
than we anticipated.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, it's really cool to go to countries. You know, when you go to places that don't get a lot of live. You know, like a lot of people a lot of artists don't bother going to like New Zealand and Australia and places like that. And, you know, I spoke to other people in bands and stuff, and they go, oh, you know, why are you bothering with New Zealand? And we say, well, you know, because it's another place that you can go to, so why not go there?
And it's a wicked crowd.
And it is a wicked crowd, because you realise that people that don't have it all appreciate what they get, you know what I mean? And, you know, and it is an amazing feeling to sort of play, you know, like when we went to Romania and places like that, you know, they hadn't had any anything happen from the outside world, you know, in 7 years or something like that. And, you know, these kids, you know, didn't take it for granted. They wanted to enjoy every single minute of it.
Yeah.
You know, and we're lucky as a band. You know, everything always goes off. Our shows always work, and, you know, the crowd, you know, the sort of kids that come to our shows do let off. They are street kids that don't mind expressing themselves and going mad, and that for us is lucky, because, you know, to play in front of an audience that probably doesn't really appreciate it too much is probably a bit sad.
Pick your own festivals to play on.
Yeah.
For example, Drum Rhythm.
Yeah.
You're gonna play there. It's like the first time in 1.5 years in Holland, I think. In what way do you choose them? You got any rules for it?
It's the lineup, really. I mean, we look and see what other bands are playing.
Yeah, whether it's the right thing or not.
You know, it's, you know, it's almost like when you do, you know, when we do interviews for magazines and stuff, you read the magazine, and obviously you don't know what every magazine around the world, how cool it is, but, you know, I don't know what your equivalent in Holland is, but, you know, like in England we have smash hits, which is like the pop, you know, sort of like pop acts jumping in the air going like this, you know, and sort of like, and all that sort of thing. And we don't want to do them magazines because they're shite, you know, and the people that are asking you the questions want to know what your favourite colour is, and what do you eat, and do you have a girlfriend, and what colour is your eyes, and shit like that. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to. That is shite. That is the pop world that we don't want to be a part of.
Bands that do crap like that, you know, it's just like, that's all they've got to talk about. You know, they haven't got any deep depth to their music.
Yeah.
They haven't got any.
They just make music to sell.
Which is fair enough. That's what they want to do. But once they've made that move to do that, they can't revert back. You know, you can't step across that line of totally selling out and becoming a total out-and-out pop band that does all those things that Keith was just saying, and then suddenly decide you want to be cool. It's
and
very hard.
Festivals.
You can't do it because you just get laughed at. You know, and it's just like you've got to set out to be like real always. Otherwise, don't bother. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's easy to sell out any time once you've been cool, but I just think that it's just about keeping real. You know, and that's what we've done for the last 8 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and as I was saying, you know, to see the you know, the bands that do the magazines that are cool. You know, you read them and you look at the magazine and you see that there's the cool acts. You know, the Beastie Boys are in there. They've done an interview, and the layout and everything is much more mature and stuff. And it's the same with when we look at what festivals and what shows we're going to do. You know, we see what cool acts are doing it. Are we into the acts? Would we, as people, not as a band, would we as people go to this festival? Would it interest us? And then we think, yeah, it would interest us to go to it as people, because that's who we are and what we do. And then we go there as a band and perform, you know. And sometimes maybe you make mistakes, but it's you know, not always.
It's also human, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, what about drum rhythm, man? Can you remember why you chose to play over there?
No.
No? Because I can imagine, because there are a lot of cool and
to be honest, like,
we like Holland anyway. To be quite honest, it's, you know, a really cool place to go, and you know, the people are cool, and we have some friends over there, and
2 Dutch coppers.
Yeah, and there's 2 Dutch coppers, and you know, and
it's around the corner.
You know, and it's everything's nice and free and easy and stuff, and just the mentality of the Dutch people is.
It's pretty close to English humour, I think. Do you
yeah,
know what
it's
I mean?
really good, really good.
It's like France, you know, the closest country, and they're just so alien to English, well, to try and relate to like French people. I find it hard, you know. I can't, like, you know, I don't particularly like France, but that's got nothing to do with. It's just what happened like a few years back, like before I was in the band. Like I had a few bad experiences over in France, but like maybe I'm just like.
No, I mean the French.
I've got that in my head all the time.
You know,
but
are
like,
quite hard to relate to. I think. You know, not that we're going to run around all the European countries and sort of say, well, we like this, we like that. But I mean, like the Italians, I've been over there a few times now, and I actually quite like them.
Yeah, I like Italians.
You know, and I thought that
kind of like when you can generalize. I mean, at least they exactly do and say what they want to say.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought they were a bit abrupt and a bit almost rude, but they're not. They're actually really quite friendly and really quite cool people.
Talk about shows. I mean, you played a few shows in Germany with Junkie XL, of course, from Holland. So now we finally got something that goes abroad for Holland. I mean, how did you pick out that?
Well, to be honest, like, no disrespect to the guys, they're really cool guys, but some of their songs sound very similar to mine, do you know what I mean? And I think it's about time people got their own original sound, do you know what I mean? I was backstage when they were on stage, and I was you know, having a beer or whatever, and I couldn't hear the music clearly, but it was kind of muffled, and I was thinking, why is the DJ playing Breathe? You know, I thought the DJ was spinning my record, Breathe, you know? And like, so I opened the door, walked on stage, and I looked around the corner, and Junkie XL were playing. And it was one of their songs, and I was listening to the chords in their song, and it's just like exactly the same as Breathe, you know? Billy Can, or whatever the record's called, you know? But, you know, fair play to them, they're up
Good
there.
energy. I really like the energy of the band.
Yeah, they're up there doing it, do you know what I mean? But I mean, it's
Really
like
like the energy.
we didn't get here. I didn't get, you know, the band didn't get to where we are through copying anyone else. You know, we've got something original to our own thing, and like you know, if that's what they feel they have to do to get more popular, that's fair enough. You know, but I mean, my favourite tracks on their album were the tracks that didn't sound like anything else. So I mean, that just proves, you know, when people sort of try and do something a bit more original, you know, there was. I mean, their album to me was like a mix of the Prodigy and the Chemical Brothers put together, and then there was a couple of hip hop tracks in there which I really, really liked.
This is the Music Factory.